what the suspect can hold. You have to also think about the mental state of the any narcotics on board that are causing this behavior that will cause him to react differently than a normal person who's not under any type of medication or narcotic. And so they have to do all that. But right now, just look.
What's that about?
Setting up and holding their positions. You're going to see some Selective Enforcement Bureau show up here pretty quick from the LA County Sheriffs.
So if you are just joining us, the Fox 11 News at 6, we have been following this breaking news, which has been a very strange situation. It started as a possible kidnapping suspect in this van. There was a... You see it there. This was all these law enforcement vehicles. This is from earlier in the big picture. And then this driver decides to drive away. And you could see that the front tire wasn't really flat, but decided to go for a ride anyways. And essentially, law enforcement let him do it. Then he gets out of the vehicle and decides to go for a jog, then a walk on the freeway in the middle of rush hour, and there was no law enforcement. Those guys that were behind him on that freeway off-ramp. So now there's this whole big standoff and all this time where this guy is in this vehicle and not time. Presumably, they could have just grabbed him because he was there unless they knew that he was armed. We don't know if he is armed there, and they had information that he was. For whatever reason, law enforcement let him go for this walk away from the van for a long time, and while he was gone from that, they didn't enter the van or take over that, and then eventually when he got tired and didn't feel like walking that direction anymore, he turned around, went back into the van, and then law enforcement showed up. There was another pursuit. The van wasn't working that well because the tires were messed up, and they pitted him into this position where he can't go anywhere else. And we have seen the CHP officers on the scene firing these non-lethal rounds into the windows to try to coax this person to on his own, like he came out on his own earlier. But now he's pretty stubbornly saying, I ain't going anywhere. And as we look on the live picture, if we can take Skyfox Live up, we're getting a closer look. This is our extreme shot where you get a real good sense of some of the damage. So you see those bullet holes in the back of the window there, and you see what this suspect is trying to do in terms of barricading, obscuring the view. Dr. Michael Daigneault, a trained ER doctor. So clearly, this suspect is in good enough shape where he's at least able to move something over the windows to try to stop further shots in. Yeah.
Yeah, and interesting, before when he was running down the street, he seemed to be like limping a little bit, so I'm wondering if there's already an injury to his leg. But you have to wonder, after those projectiles were fired, the non-lethal rounds, like you suggested, like what impact they had, what they could have ricocheted on, if there's any damage to the glass. There could be a number of injuries that he's already sustained, but he's also then re-barricaded the window now, and so we know that he's at least conscious and able to move around. But I would suspect there's at least some soft tissue contusions from those rubber bullets so far, especially the ones coming through the back or the side.
So you know, if and when this thing ends, that the likely outcome would be that this person is taken to the hospital
100%.
For somebody like you to check him out before he goes to jail.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he did a lot of soft tissue damage from those projectiles at the least. He sustained anything in the accident before, because as we saw, he was running down the street a little bit, limping there in the leg. He'll definitely need medical clearance, especially in a case like this. Be taken to the nearest ER, and one of the ER docs will give him a quick look over and make sure, you know, aside from the soft tissue injury, to make sure there's no bony injury or fractures or dislocations, which can happen from the projectiles as well, especially if they're high caliber, done at a close proximity like we see here.
Yeah. And your view of him walking earlier on the freeway didn't feel like he was 100% healthy and during that earlier moment. So as we look at this, of course, this isn't just the one guy. This is now the story of an entire city that may be wanting to go on this freeway at this time on a Friday night out to their plans, and people are missing their plans right now because of Jonathan Novak not only does our weather, but also our traffic, and you're taking a look right now at how this is impacting traffic and potentially some alternate ways to get around there.
Yeah, you can see, just to give you a perspective of where we're looking here, on the 91 in the westbound direction, there's that police activity that's in the top left of your screen that we've been covering. That's blocking all lanes. They've shut down all the lanes, and this is at Cherry Ave, and it's backed up to Cherry Ave, rather, at Long Beach Boulevard is where this is happening. And so it is at a complete standstill. And if you're having alternate route, it would be the 710 for sure, but even that, as you can see, is starting to back up on that southbound side. So this is causing big headaches in terms of the traffic world, if you will, as they have all lanes shut down there on the 91 westbound.
Yeah, your map's saying 1 hour delays at least, and who knows, it could be more than that, because it doesn't look like this guy's going anywhere soon. And if they really are bringing in that specialized equipment, that's a whole, first of all, waiting for it to get there, and then there's a whole procedure of once they do, and that can take hours. So you think about, John, all the folks who may have dinner plans or going out to meet their family or whatever, the weekend is finally here, that could literally be on a parking lot on the freeway right now with nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's one of those, don't even know what's going on, which makes it even that much worse. It sort of compounds the frustration if you're out on the highway and you have no idea. It's not an accident and you see police activity and you're sitting there and you can't get off of an exit. Or if you do, even that option is backed up, like the 710 right now, as you can see, actually in both directions, it's slowed down to about 17, 15 miles per hour as you go on the northbound side, and if you go on the southbound side, it's about 20 miles per hour on the 710. So even your alternate routes are getting backed up at this point, that whole area. It's completely congested.
And I'll never miss an opportunity for self-promotion. If you're ever in this situation, you can always go to the Fox LA, which, you know, if you're parked on the freeway, it's not bad to open up your phone, and you can watch our live coverage for free anytime that you're away from your TV for breaking news coverage just like this, whenever our newscasts are on, or if big breaking news is happening, even when our newscast isn't on. That's an opportunity to stream there. And for those that are watching it there or streaming on our Fox Local app, thank you. Tim Lynn, our police specialist, joining us on the phone and watching this, and look at Tim and all these cars, and you think and feel for all those people, and especially bad for that first row, right? You're like, I just missed it, and you're stuck. And how, in the minds of law enforcement, do you balance that? The fact that now hundreds, thousands of people are being impacted because of this one person. But at the end of the day, is it all about, you know, safety, and you're still just, is that something you're thinking about in your calculus, or not really, in terms of coming up with?
That's way down the list of plan of action of folks sitting on that freeway. There's, if it gets bad enough, they'll start taking them off at the 710, sending them north and south on the 710. Then eventually the folks that are on the 91, they're going to be turned around and sit back and off the off-ramp to the rear. But as far as people sitting on the freeway, that's not anything they're too worried about at this point. And so right now, their idea now is to just keep an eye on this van. You see the van pushing the stuff out of the window, just trying to block the view. And I was just curious on those two holes that are on the slider, when did they appear? So hopefully they can do something, or re-rack, and try to find what that is. Because if that's around inside the van being shot out, that profile on this and makes it a completely different situation. But I don't know if those were already in the van before this all started. Focusing in on coming out or going in, or those are less lethal rounds that just didn't shatter the glass well enough. Now, just to explain for the viewers, the rounds they're using, that I've been seeing them use, are coming out of a 12-gauge shotgun, and basically they are a 1-ounce bag, a Kevlar bag of lead pellets, and they're used to stun a person, to take them down without really killing them. That's why they come less than lethal. But you always, as an officer firing those, you're trained not to shoot through any head or face or things of that sort. It's mostly into the torso to be able to stop him. But when you fire him through a window like that, if he happens to be behind that and takes it right straight in the face, then yeah, you could do a lot of damage. And the doctor's saying he could be very, well, injured in there with major injuries. But right now, all he has to do is get out of the van. I mean, that's how this thing could come to an end. And if he's injured that bad, you would think a person would get out. But I go back to, what is his mental state?
Right.
What is his sobriety? Is he under the influence of alcohol or some type of narcotic that's causing him to do this? And also, I'd really like to find out, was there a kidnap?
Well, I have an answer to that.
He just wanted now for
I got some
failure to yield.
Tim,
what is the actual want on the suspect? The CHP is acting.
Tim. Okay. I don't know how much Tim can hear me, but I do have some information on that front. We just got a statement from Long Beach PD a few seconds ago, basically saying that they don't kidnapping. So here's what the statement says. This afternoon, around 3:55 p.m., officers contacted a female adult in the area of Artesia Boulevard and Myrtle Avenue who initially reported that she had been kidnapped by a male adult suspect in a vehicle. Officers located the suspect driving in the area. They attempted to detain the suspect. The suspect fled. A vehicle pursuit ensued. The suspect stopped near Alondra Boulevard in the 710, refused to exit his vehicle. We all watched that. As officers continued to investigate the kidnapping, the facts revealed that the crime of kidnapping had not occurred. Officers cleared the scene, but will document and continue to investigate this incident. So apparently there wasn't a kidnapping. But yet, what is going on here? Is there another crime? Is there something else? How do you take that information?
Yeah, from my past experience watching how the CHP is acting, I mean, yeah, and what I said, we broke away from the last segment we had when we went away, and then, came back, and then he's being chased again. I thought, he said, did they just, the kidnap didn't happen, so right then the suspect's not wanted. You want to sit on the side of the freeway? Go right ahead. We're leaving. Right. And then the CHP comes along and tries to, you're not going to leave a van sitting on the side of the freeway. To do that. In fact, they have come along and put that 4-hour notice on your car, and they'll tow you off. But on this situation, we weren't there for it, but they pulled up on it, and obviously he took off, and then it turns into a failure to yield, and you didn't have your normal, vanilla pursuit. And so, but they have the information of what this guy had done prior, so now they're going to just chase him as they normally would, taking into custody for failure to yield. But something else went on after this stop was made and the pit maneuver was done. The wheels were taken out, whatever means that Long Beach PD did. So now they're here, and their body language and their actions of what they're doing. There's something else going on in that dam that happened after this. I'm really curious on those 2 holes that are in the slider. If were those rounds coming out? I'm sure that if somebody shot in there, they would be more active trying to get in there. But obviously, the suspect is still moving around, still active, probably still in verbal contact with the officers outside because he's trying to conceal himself in that dam. So. Like I said,
this is video from earlier where you see right there those deputies or officers moved in and then moved quickly out. That was sort of the tell that we've gotten so far from law enforcement. And there are shots. That was the shot at the front window. But we did see shots earlier that were aimed at the back window. It seemed to be aimed at the back window. Did this suspect shoot out the deputies? We don't have any evidence of that, but maybe he did. I couldn't tell that from where I was. Tim, did you see that from where you were? Did you see evidence of this suspect shooting at the deputy or the officers there?
Have been in the vehicle for a couple months or a couple weeks, or did it happen? So that's why I was hoping we had some type of aerial footage of the van hand side, so we didn't have that side when he was stopped. We could see the right hand side, I just like to, if we had the footage, which I don't think we do, is that they're able to pull back and look and see when those appeared. Those, yeah, like I said, those may have been there forever. But me, just looking at a scene here where we don't have a lot of information, we're just trying to glean stuff that we see, and going with my experience, I'm going, well, where did those two holes come from? Where did the back window come from? So that's what I was trying to go with, is trying to find out if we had any footage of that, or any information from CHP where they shot at. Obviously, if we get a hold of PIO and they're able to give that information, that the change from just being a plain pursuit to a suspect not wanting to get out to where a little more active. But as close as those CHP officers are, and as little cover as they're taking, I would think that if he was firing out of there, they'd be back a little bit and a little further away and down behind their cars more than they are right now, because if he's taking pot shots out of there, they're about to. Here comes an arm.
Now hopefully we can zoom in a little bit more. So this is it same suspect? So now we've got the airbag. Is he trying to open the door? Okay, maybe the door's broken. Okay, now the door is open. Is he coming out, or is he trying to now set this thing up again? Okay,
They could be trying to pinch it in the door on the top so it doesn't move around. Open the door, push it out, and then close the door again. Perfect timing right here for them to put a less than lethal right into him. I mean, that's just a little bit. But, yep, see, he's doing exactly what I said. He's just using the door to hold his shield up. There you go.
Yeah, so they didn't, is that would have been your approach in that situation? This is your opportunity to...
At that point, I would have either hit him with a less lethal, or if I had pepper balls at that point, I would start launching pepper balls in there to take the fight out of him, give him a reason to give up. But going back to the information,
right.
Is there somebody else in there?
Is there somebody else in there?
Kidnap has been taken off the table.
Right.
Now it's just completely...
Okay, so we are approaching the top of the hour here, and when the clock hits 7 o'clock, we are going to turn things over to our friends at Extra for their show. We will continue to stream this at foxla.com. So a reminder that you can watch any of our newscasts anytime at foxla.com/live. That's breaking news. You can also stream this via the which also has our live stream as well on your smart TV. And we will have an update on how this thing ends, hopefully, tonight for the Fox 11 News at 10. Dr. Suit.
Yeah,
this is a little different than what we were going to talk about, but we got your expertise.
Thanks for having me.
Nonetheless, our thank you to Jonathan Novak for his update on the traffic, and our thanks, as always, to for his expertise when it comes to all things law enforcement and all things pursuits. So in the meantime, if you know anybody that's on this freeway, send them love, because there for a while. Again, our coverage continues online. Thanks for watching the Fox 11 News at 6. You don't see us, but we're wearing red because we remember everyone deployed on Friday. Marla's back on Monday. See you tonight at 10.
His conviction overturned in New York. Is Harvey Weinstein's L.A. conviction now in jeopardy too? New outrage over the stunning reversal.
We have a lot of work to do.
From Taraji P. Henson to Trump victim E. Jean Carroll and Me Too founder Tarana Burke. We're inside the Time 100 Gala. Everyone who's anyone. Royal sources reporting King is, quote, very unwell. What's happening right now behind palace walls? Zendaya and Tom talking marriage. We go inside the evolution of Zendaya from Shaking It Up on the Disney Channel. Up on Disney's other channel.
First week. What?
And serving it up in Challengers.
It's not this all the time.
Plus, Seinfeld's new Pop-Tarts flick with the only man who could pull off Tony the Tiger.
They're great.
We get to see the origin of the they're great. How do you get it right?
I was a little nervous about that.
Could the reversal